So can you talk us through the top transformation priorities for UK and European banks based on recent conversations that you've had with industry leaders?
Sure, I would like to break this conversation, speak about UK in the first place and then come to Europe. While there is 4 or 5 such items that I felt is conversation worthy, I would like to focus on 2 points, 2 to 3 from a UK perspective. The first one is they're looking at digital transformation and modernization. What it really means is the ability for the banks to be able to offer next generation solutions to their customers, which basically addresses 3 things in terms of operational agility, customer experience, and your operational efficiency. So then the second aspect for this is to do with personalization. Customers want personalized business journeys and they want them to be serviced in a manner that is very specific to them. And this means that the ability for the banks to deliver seamless omni-channel experience. Then the second aspect with respect to the UK is because of this 2023 regulation which focuses on consumer duty and customer outcomes. So technology must make sure that there are embedded programs such as this that meets the requirement of the Financial Conduct Authority, and then all the aspects with reference to operational resilience and cyber security. These are some broad 3 areas that I feel are what is driving change in the UK. When it comes to Europe, what we are seeing is that there is a propensity in the loan growth being driven. In other words, when there is a propensity in increasing the loan growth, there is competition among banks. So the banks are competing with each other to make sure that they end up being the service bank for the customer, and in the process be able to generate a lot more fee-based income, etc. This is one aspect. So loan growth. The second one is the focus for European banks continues to be on digital innovation, which again focuses on enhanced customer experience, efficiency, and operational agility, which is very similar to the UK. And obviously when it comes to Europe, it is a lot of regulations, and you can see regulations with reference to with reference to sustainability-oriented directives, sustainability-oriented due diligence, and there is a list goes on and on forth. So in summary, if I were to look at these 2 segments, I would say that UK focuses on transformation, digital innovation, customer. I talked about FCA-induced programs such as the need for banks to talk about customer duty, be sensitive to customer duty and customer outcomes, and Europe focuses largely on loan growth-driven agenda, etc. On all these, the common element is that the existing legacy systems are not adequate to meet their requirements, which means that there is an opportunity for the banks to modernize their tech stack, both at the front level as well as at their back-end systems.
So with data privacy being a very focal point in the UK and Europe, how does that balance out with things like open finance and personalization?
So we are moving to a world where we are talking about all these things, like whether it is to do with a GDPR or whether to do with your regulations with reference to UK has got some regulations for Financial Data Access Act. All these are likely to be embedded within the program itself, within the application itself. Tokenization, these are some small examples that we are seeing in that space. From our solution perspective, it's a very resilient architecture that embeds all these data privacy rules. And we're talking of open finance, the ability for all these systems to be able to communicate to ecosystem players. And that's where the biggest strength is. So we're talking about all these things no longer existing out there, but the ability for it to be embedded within the system.
Right, and just to add a few points to that, as far as Europe is concerned, there is a lot of focus on data privacy for an individual. They take it very seriously. So the system enables audit trails. It is focused on taking consent from an individual. That is a big plus that is required by mandate and compliance in Europe as well. So our system is compliant and ready for giving this kind of a functionality to our customers. At the same time, open finance also entails that this data which resides is accessible to other parties which are in that open finance ecosystem, and our system is totally ready to address these kind of current requirements as well as the future ones.
So let's talk about banks rethinking legacy systems. So what are banks doing to start rethinking legacy systems, and what are you doing to then help support that?
Now, fundamentally, when we talk of core modernization, it's always a very difficult subject for any bank, small or big, because it's almost like a heart transplant. So the ability to have conversations that will provide a kind of comfort in terms of allaying their fears. So we come up with two kinds of concept. One is the fact that we should talk about delivery certainty, and the fact that this delivery certainty happens with protected price points. In other words, there is a mechanism where we have the ability to make sure that it is well within the ballpark of what the agreement. So there is no notion that it becomes a very large program, and this can be further broken down into different aspects of how we end up making these deliveries. But what is more important is the way the banks have approached this is two ways. The concept of some banks look at it from a perspective of taking out certain product processes, product capabilities, certain functions out from the core. In other words, progressive modernization, loosely worded as hollowing the core. We support these kind of programs, but interestingly, our argument also is to support multi-core strategy for banks. In other words, smaller banks, larger banks have more than one core system for different purposes. The ability for mid-sized banks, if they are straddled with the problems of their legacy applications, there is an ability for us to have a coexistence of another core, and where they can drive certain customer segment to that core. So there is an optimal way of doing it, ensuring price certainty, basically guaranteeing the price, and delivery certainty. Abhishek, do you want to add?
Yeah, so you mentioned about legacy. Europe is the hub of legacy, you can call it in a way. It is really eating up a lot of budgets for the banks. They are trying to find out ways, how they can reduce it. And it has a direct impact on the operations of a bank as well. So again, a lot of leakages happening, commercial leakages happening on the operations front. Where we are coming in, we are helping them decompose this complexity using our emag.ai architecture, or rather the platforms which are based on emag.ai, which KS just mentioned. And this is really helping them choose, the important pain areas which can be addressed, and then slowly figure out how they want to roll out large transformations. So this also somehow de-risks them in terms of doing a big bang or trying to break the project into small chunks. And we are quite experienced. We have handled this kind of legacy modernization for last 30 years. And this is the value that Intellect brings in, the best of breed solutions, as well as the knowledge base collected over 30 years, which I don't think that even a bank would have in one place in their IT ecosystem. So that's where we try to create our USP, and that's where we try to bring in more value for the banks.
Yeah, so I guess as you said, when it comes to modernizing, you can't rip and replace, right? So it's transformation.
Absolutely.
So what digital strategies in the Nordics could be replicated more widely in Europe?
So we have serviced the Swedish market, which is the largest market in Nordics, and we have also tried to service the Norwegian market. We have a customer in Norway as well, which is using our latest platform today. What we have learned is that, as I said earlier, the banks want to offer convenience to its end customer. They want everything to happen, pretty much automatically, sitting at home, wherever he is. They want to enable their end customer. So, for example, if they want to offer an instant loan to a person who has entered a superstore at the POS when he's checking out. So that checkout experience, how you create it, how smoother it can be, because typically you will see a customer comes in and he spends minutes and minutes together over there. So today we have come out with a credit platform which can enable a POS level loan for a particular customer pretty much instantly, within a few minutes. These are the things which are not available on the continental Europe at all, for example. So when we take these kind of user journeys of POS level credit being offered to an individual customer, creating his account instantly as well, it is something like magic on the continent. And people are quite excited to see these kind of innovations coming in from there. I can give you one more example that a keyless delivery of a car from a car maintenance service. So even if it is closed, the banking integration happens in a way with the car dealer as well as the bank, so that the end customer, even if the dealer is closed, he can collect his car on a weekend or as per his convenience 24/7. So these things are not even thought through, these kind of user journeys here, and we can, in a way, without impacting the NDAs or our commitments to our customers, we can innovate such things and bring it to the end consumer in the continental Europe also. So I think there is a lot to learn. I think Nordic really takes a lead in such innovations, and I think the world is benefiting from it. So will Europe.